All right, my apologies for being a little tardy on today. I just jumped out of one Zoom meeting I have every first Monday of the month that I have to be on. And greetings, Pastor Bettina. I'm making sure that all the rest of the places are up. I'm looking to see. Um, so forgive me for a moment. I'm checking to make sure we're on all the other medium of. So there we go. We're on the sanctuary page and we're on, let me make sure we're on the Bishop Perry page. All right, there we go. All right, so hello everybody. Hello Daisy. Hello Sean. Hello Lauren. So good to see you. So good to see you. I'm going to try to make sure that I can greet everybody that I have. Hello Henrietta. Hello. Who else am I missing? All right, just wanted to hurry up here. It's been a moment. Last month we spent the last month of July and August. We spent the whole 2 times talking about change and the benefit of. And I pray that it was a blessing to you because it was definitely a blessing to me. I didn't realize how much of a blessing it was going to be because there's some things that had to change as far as relation to me. And I'm sure there's some things that you had learned to change as well, and that you saw the benefits thereof of those changes that needed to be made. So I pray that it was a blessing to you. And as you can see on the bottom of the screen today, we're going to talk about in everything you do, always remain faithful. And everything you do, always remain faithful. Good afternoon, Henrietta. On Sunday, I talked about what God has given me back in August as related to the season that we're going into as a Jewish Rosh Hashanah is starting on the 15th through the 17th. That's a Jewish New Year. And I know that people say, well, we're not Jewish, but I like to deal, God speaks to me during those time periods as to our time of when we're going to be doing things. It's going to be like from September to September of 2024. So that's how I work in our ministry, our year of what are we going to do. And we talked about the year of open doors and closing doors as well. But today, I said that in all to understand that even in all of that, we still have to do always remain faithful, regardless of our circumstances and situations, because the harsh reality is that sometimes life feels like obstacles, one after another. I get a message called, if it's not one thing, it's another. No matter how much planning or preparation we do, we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We can make plans for what's going to happen tomorrow. We can think about what's going to happen tomorrow, but the reality, we don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. And not to be morbid or anything, but there are some people who went to sleep last night who thought that they were going to be here today, but they're not. So we don't know what we're going to happen tomorrow. And just think about some of the obstacles that have occurred during our lives. Think about some of the things that we've already had to go through just up until this point. No matter how old you are, no matter what's your situation, and I don't just necessarily mean health issues, it could be relationship issues, it could be family issues, it could be children issues, it could be job issues, it could be relocation issues, all of these things that we have to face. And life has a way of making you feel miserable sometimes, especially when your money is funny, your change is strange, and your patience is wearing thin. All right, let me say that again. Life has a way of making you feel miserable, especially when your money is funny, your change is strange, and your patience is wearing thin. Can I get a testimony? Somebody know what I'm talking about when sometimes life causes you to look at life when it look like your money is funny, your change is strange, and your patience is wearing thin. Unfortunately, too many people allow what's happening on the outside to dictate how they feel about themselves on the inside. A lot of times we allow things that are happening on the outside to dictate how we feel on. How you doing, Thelma? How, excuse me. How we feel on the inside. We allow those circumstances to move us from a place of peace, from a place of having joy, to a place of being miserable. Hello, Danielle, because of what we are going through. And it's no matter, it's whether it's our finances or it's our dreams, you need to know that God will make everything possible for you. So having material things come and go, but your relationship with God will determine your destiny. Some things can come and go. Material things can come and go. A car can come and go. A house can come and go. Clothes can come and go. But your relationship with God will determine your destiny. So whether you're looking at your finances, whether you're looking at your dreams, you need to know that God is the God who will make everything possible for you. What is impossible with man is not impossible with God. So when I know that God can do the impossible, I don't look at the impossible as an impossibility in my life. I look at it as God is going to work it out. I don't know how God is going to work it out, but I know that if He said it, that settles it. And that says amen. And God is going to make it possible. I just feel it in my spirit that somebody needs to grab a hold of that and say to yourself, I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like on the outside. But on the inside, I'm telling my spirit man, I'm telling my flesh that God is going to make it happen. And that's one of the things, because no matter how chaotic it seems, the good news is God is working something out for you to be beyond, to be blessed beyond measures. You know, Romans 8:28, all things work together for the good of them that are called according to His purpose. We understand that no matter how chaotic life may seem, no matter how things are, the good news is the bad news was wrong, because God is working out things in my life and in your life that's going to be a blessing to you beyond measure. The question is, will you remain faithful? The question is, will you remain faithful? Because a lot of times we can be tempted to not be faithful because what we expect to happen is not happening in the way we want it to happen. So we think God has forgotten about us, or maybe God is mad at us, or we have done something. But you have to understand that in all things, that the title says at the bottom, in everything you do, always remain faithful. And when I'm talking about faithful, being faithful to God, because the promises of God are yea and amen. So we always got to remain faithful to Him, because in this life, I discovered that trials, tests, and temptations will make you stronger in your faith towards God. The trials, tests, and tribulations and temptations will make your faith stronger towards God. What are you talking about? Let me give you an example. I shared this on Sunday and it bears repeating. 6 years ago, I started a journey that I never thought I would have to start. I started a journey that I didn't believe would happen to me. 6 years ago, I started a journey when I all of a sudden my PSA level was rising and the doctor was watching and monitoring. So every 3 months I was going and doing blood work, and eventually it got to the point where it was alarming. It was at 10 and it's supposed to be stay around 4 or lower. They really want it at 0, but 4 or lower, they don't normally, they just monitor. But mine was getting, it got up to 10. So I had to go see an oncologist. And when I went to see the oncologist, I had to do a biopsy. I had to do all these different tests. And when they did the biopsy said that there was, that I had prostate cancer. It wasn't like stage 4, but it was at a point where it was that they had recognized it at the early stage so that they could work with it. Now, I was disheartened when I went in after the biopsy, because when I went in after the biopsy, I went in with the understanding in my mind, because I know by Jesus' stripe I am healed, that there would be no issues is with what's going on. Hello, Tina. With any issues that is what's going on. But when he told me that I had prostate cancer, I was almost like somebody sucked the wind out of me, because I could not understand how and that's how I said it. Now, let's be real, how I could have ended up with prostate cancer. It's not in my family. There's no hereditary in my family. There's nobody in my family ever had it. Why did it happen to me? Why me, the pastor, the bishop, the faithful giver, the faithful servant, the one who serves in regardless? How did this happen to me? But I understand that in that time of me going through those 5 years after that of treatment, of radiation, and being tested every month, having to go back and be tested, and then every 6 months, and until here last in December of December of last year is when I was officially told that I didn't have to come back, do the annual thing, because after you get over a certain age, you have to go see an oncologist every year anyway because of your age. But now it's not because I'm have prostate. Now it's just because it's a thing that they recommend. They recommend that you have that you see that your PSA level is tested and that you see an oncologist at least once a year because of being over 65. But the whole thing of it is I went through that, but I had to understand and made my faith in God stronger because what God really spoke to me and what I realized is I said that by Jesus' stripes, I am healed. God is a healer. What we sometimes get wrapped around is how we are being healed. When we say God is a healer, we automatically in our mind, because that's what we think, that God is going to take away whatever it is, whatever it is, and we won't have to go through anything. But you may be healed through radiation, you may be healed through chemo, you may be healed through whatever means, medical term wise, that you become healed and that is delivered. But you have to understand that those trials and tests, those things help me to become stronger in my faith. Because if you hold on to your faith, you realize that nothing the enemy throws at you will kill you. If you hold on to your faith, you realize that nothing that the enemy throws at you will kill you. Because when you, and men, when you notice, when you get prostate cancer, in most cases, it's almost like they're saying, that's it. There's stage 4, there's various stages, but it's not a good diagnosis that you want to get from a doctor, no more than any other diagnosis. That even when I got COVID, I kept saying, I'm doing everything, I'm masking, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, yet and still I got COVID. And I was like, okay, God, why me? Once again, we always go back to the point of why me. But what COVID showed me was that when I look at the people who, at my age at the time, who were having respiratory problems and who were being put on ventilators and who couldn't breathe and who had to be in hospital for months. And I had like a 5 to 7 day situation where I was laid up. I didn't really have any problem with my breathing. I had a fever. I didn't have taste for food, but I went through that and I realized that even though the enemy may threw it at me, it didn't kill me. And that's something that we have to understand. If you hold on to your faith, nothing the enemy throws at you will kill you. If you hold on to your faith, because that's why I say in everything you do, always remain faithful, even when it doesn't look like it's working out the way you think. Always remember that whenever you decide that God has the final answer in your predicament, you'll understand that faith leads to your deliverance. Whenever you decide that God has the final answer in your predicament, you'll understand that faith leads to your deliverance. What leads to my deliverance? When I decided that God has the final answer in my situation. What leads me to my deliverance is when I've decided that God has a final answer to my situation. That's what gives me the faith to understand. That's why in everything I do, I always remain faithful, is because I understand that God has the final answer to my situation. And that answer understanding that that faith leads to my deliverance. That is so powerful. If you don't get anything else, you need to hear that, is that it leads to your deliverance. Let me help you out with this. Everything you go through requires faith. Everything you go through requires faith. It required faith for me to go through prostate cancer. It required faith for me to go through 2 knee surgeries. It required faith for me to have to go through the things that I went through, falling off of all of the things that I've dealt with, as not only as a pastor, but as a man of God, as a minister, as a bishop. All the things I've dealt with, it required faith for me to go through. I had to depend on my faith in God and trusting and believing that God is going to bring me through this. And that faith that God will take care of the haters in my life. I stopped. There was one point in time I was always focusing on the people that I thought didn't like me, or the people that had bad things to say about it. I spent too much time of my life at that time, not now, looking at and worrying about the people who didn't like me, when I realized that was not important, because their liking me or not liking me did not change the destiny and purpose that God put in me. So I needed to stop focusing on them And I realized that that was just making me stronger in God, because people are going to hate. That's just a part of life. They're going to hate. It's nothing. You can be the most perfect person that you think in the world, and there will always be somebody that won't like you. And it's just because. I remember one time somebody didn't like me, and I asked them why, and they couldn't give me an answer other than, I just don't like you. And it wasn't anything I did, anything I thought, was something I'm doing, I'm saying. Say, no, I just don't like you. And I'm like, wow. And I'm thinking I'm just nice person. I don't know how you couldn't like. So it kind of told me up for a while that somebody just didn't like me because they didn't like me. But I'm saying, you don't know me. How could you not like me? If you knew me, you would like me. But I realized, and that's something that you got to realize, that I don't care how good you are, there are going to be people that are not going to like you. Now the flip to that is making sure that you're not making people not like you because of how you act or your attitude or your how you do things, your integrity, your character. Those are the things that you got to make sure you guard against, so that those things are not the things that people don't like you because. Now people can just not like you. That's just the way it is, you know. And you have to understand that. And faith, uh, that God will give you what you need in order to get you to where you need to go. You got to have faith that God is going to give you what you need in order for you to get to where you're going to go. You may not have it now, but you got to have faith enough to believe that if I need it, God is going to get it to me. I got to have faith that God is going to get me what I need to get me to where I need to go. I got to have faith that God is going to get me what I need in order to get to where I need. And faith that God has the whole world in the palm of his hand. I got to believe that he owned the cattle on 1,000 hills. I got to believe that my God should supply all my needs according to his riches in Christ Jesus. I have to believe those things, and I got to trust in those things. I got to have faith in those things, and I got to remain faithful to him in spite of what may be going on. And I need to understand that these are the things that I need to look at. Let me hurry up here so that I don't miss anything. In this spiritual journey, it is important to turn everything over to God. That's right. Turn everything over to God. Your relationships, your jobs, your problems and concerns. You need to turn everything over to God. Your relationships, your family, your jobs, your finances, your problems, all that has to be a concern for God. You need to make that a concern to God. Don't worry yourself crazy about what to do, because God is going to handle it for you. Don't pull your hair out. Don't go crazy. Don't start drinking. Don't start doing things crazy because you don't know how to handle it. Know that God is going to handle it for you. All you need to do is stay hooked up with God and know that he will make a way. Ooh, that's a point right there. All you need to do is stay hooked up with God and know that he will make a way. That's all you need to do. Stay connected, hooked up. Maybe you don't understand. Okay, I threw that but you duck, so let me turn at you another way. Stay connected. As long as I stay connected to God, as long as I stay connected to God and know he'll make a way. If I buy a new lamp and I put it in my office, the lamp requires a bulb. So I put the bulb in the lamp and I put it on my desk. And I pull the cord, but the lamp does not come on. The light doesn't come on. It doesn't do anything. I got a bulb in it. I pull the cord that says if I pull it, it's supposed to go on, but I've missed one important step. In order for it to work, I need to connect it to an electrical outlet so that the source of electricity that is required to turn it on comes on. So if I need the light to be the light of the world, the salt of the earth, if I need to know that God is going to make a way out of no way, I need to be connected to the power source that is him. Because if I'm not connected to him, I will miss everything that I need, and I will not be able to overcome it because I'm stuck on the fact that I'm not connected to the power source. So if you don't learn anything else, get hooked up with God, because he'll make a way. Anytime you experience the goodness of God, you know the power of faith. When I think about the goodness of Jesus and all that he has done for me, my soul, when you can think about it, it's one of those things that I just have a thought about what God has, the goodness of God. Then I understand what the power of faith is. I don't care how big or small your problems may seem, you need to get into your spirit, that God is greater than your problem. Get this in your spirit. Another thing that you need to get in your spirit, that God is greater than your problem. Oh, I wish I had some help up in here on this magnificent Manifest Monday. God is greater than your problem. Yes, sir. We put and making our problem big and talking about a little God, but we have a big God that can solve our little problems. In other words, God is bigger than anything you can imagine. Because of who he is, your problem isn't a match for him. Your problem is not a match for God. God is greater than your problems. God is bigger than anything you can imagine because of who he is. He says, when they said, Moses said, who should I tell him sent me? He said, tell him I am. And that used to confuse me till I thought about the context of I am. It's a I am with a line next to it. What are you talking about, Bishop? I am. What does that mean? I am your deliverer. I am your healer. I am your provider. I am your strong tower. I am your battle axe. I am your bright and morning star. I can go on and on. So when I think about who he is I am to whatever it is I need right now. I am. And my I am may be different than what your I am is needed for. So we got to understand that. The Hebrew writers said this, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Don't miss this. Even though you may not see the victory in the natural, it is there in the spirit. I'm going to say that again. Even though you may not see the victory in the natural, it is there in the spiritual. Now faith, it means right now, is the substance. My faith that I have, my now faith, my right now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. My now faith is, I don't see the victory in the natural. It's not here yet. It hasn't manifested yet, but it's already being manifested. It's already manifested in the spirit. So I can say now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. That's my word for you. Whatever you need, whatever you're praying about, believe that God is going to work it out on your behalf. I want to say that again. Whatever you need, whatever you're praying about, believe that God's going to work it out on your behalf. You got to get that in your spirit, man. That's got to be your anthem to yourself. No matter what I need, no matter what I'm praying about, I believe that God is going to work it out on my behalf. He's like the wizard behind the curtains. He's moving things that I'm not even knowing and aware of, but he's working it out. People are laughing because they don't know what God is doing behind the scene. They look and they say, you're about to fail. You're not going to make it. You're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to be successful. You're always going to be broke, but you don't know what God is working out behind the scenes. You don't know the seeds that I talked about this on Sunday, and you need to get this. If you didn't get it, you need to go back and listen to the Sunday message. SOS. That's an SOS call out on to God. I've sown faithfully. I've been obedient faithfully, and I've been a servant faithfully. And because I'm sending out this SOS for 2023, from September of 2023 to September of 2024 and beyond, I'm sending out an SOS, and God is receiving my signal. It's not a distress signal. It's a signal of purpose, that I have been a seed sower, that I have been obedient, and I've been a servant. And because of that, I can expect God to do exceedingly abundantly above all I hope or imagine. I anticipate, I'm in expectation of God doing some great things in my life because I've sent out that SOS. It wasn't a distress. It was just a sign. It's like on the movie Batman, they put up the sign, and that's to let him know that he needs to come. Well, I put out my SOS, and it's not that I need God to come, because he's everywhere at the same time. I just need him to manifest. I need him to manifest some things in my life right now. I wish I had somebody. SOS. Yes, it is time for us to send up the signal and let God know that have been serving. We've been sowing seeds. We've been obedient, and we are servants. Working every single day to strengthen my relationship with him is the only true way to keep my strength, strong faith, so that I can overcome any obstacle life throws at me. So let me flip this so I can make it personal. Working every single day, strengthening the relationship you have with God is the only true way your strong faith, so that you can overcome any obstacle that comes at you. You got to make this personal. I'm working every day to strengthen my relationship with God. That's what I'm telling myself. God, I woke up this morning to strengthen my relationship with you. The one and only true way is to know my strength, so that I strengthen my faith, brother, so that I can overcome any obstacles that life throws at me. And as I wrap this up, that's right, you got to make it personal. Choose to remain faithful when there is no visible finish line and no feeling of relief. Ooh, oh, that's a good one right there, Daisy. Choose to remain faithful when there's no visible finish line and no feeling of relief. Mm. I choose to remain faithful, even though I don't see the finish line. When I used to run cross country, we started out, I didn't see the end of where I was supposed to finish up. There was no visible finish line. And as I was running and pain sometimes coming, or maybe a cramp, or I was getting tired and I didn't feel like I was getting any kind of relief, I didn't see the finish line. I was starting to faint, but I had to lean into it. I'm telling somebody today, you need to hear me. Lean into it and bear through the discomfort that comes from trusting in what you cannot see. Lean into it and bear through the discomfort that comes from trusting in what you cannot see. Oh, I wish I had some help up in here today. I felt that all the way back. I feel like running around on my own, because when I think about it, I remember running, I had to lean in it to sometime, and I had to bear through some discomfort in my leg, some discomfort in my body, but I had to lean into it, and I had to come to trusting in what I couldn't see. I didn't see the finish line when I was running cross country and had to run 3.1 miles. I didn't see it, and I was feeling some kind of way, pain, and I wanted to quit it, and I was tired, but I had to lean into it and trust that the finish line was around the corner. I couldn't see it, but I know it was close. It's not taking a risk, it's strengthening your faith. That is not taking a risk. This is strengthening your faith. Lean into it. My question is, are you struggling with trusting God? Because all of this is a mute point if you're struggling with trusting God. Your life is too precious and too valuable to God for you to be sidelined by fear and uncertainty. I'm going to say that again. Your life is too precious and too valuable to God for you to be sidelined by fear and uncertainty. I need you to hear me, because the enemy wants you to be in fear. The enemy wants you to, how this is going to work out. I don't know. You don't need to know. You just need to trust God. You need to trust God in your situation. That where I am today, I didn't see that back 35 years ago when I got saved. I didn't see that then. All I saw was somebody who was in need of a God to save them from the wretched life that they lived. And God moved me through the progression of things, line upon line and precept upon precept, because your life is too valuable to God for you to be sidelined by fear. God has not given you the fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. Oh, let me wrap this up. I'm sorry. I am over my time. I'm all out of minutes, but I'm not out of message. But let me just leave you with this. Make this time, or make this day, or make this opportunity activate your faith in everything you do, and watch what happens. Take this time to activate your faith in everything you do, and watch what happens. In everything, I tell you, my brothers and sisters, as I close and for this day on this Manifest Monday, in everything, remain faithful. In everything. I love you. I pray that this has been a blessing to you. I forgot that I was coming on late, so I forgot to tell you to share, but I will make sure that you share on your pages, because somebody else needs to know that they need to remain faithful, because there are people that are failing now because they're letting their faith fail because their circumstances hadn't changed. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Hold on. God is working it out for your good, and for your betterment. Love you. Pray that you've been a blessing. And once again, thank you, Daisy, for taking notes. And you guys need to give her a round of applause for the faithfulness, because that's why. And I say this, and those that come on faithfully, God is going to bless you, because remember I said it's sowing seeds, obedience, and servant. Sowing seeds of your time, being obedient to be on, and being a servant of God. God is seeing your SOS, not a distress, but a blessing. Yes, happy birthday, Tammy. Yes, my daughter today, September 11th, baby. Happy birthday to her. There were several people in our ministry whose birthday was today. Prophetess Jackie's birthday was today. Aiden's birthday was today. Pastor Marcus in Virginia, his birthday was today. I think I got a cousin whose birthday is today. There's quite a few people that was born in this day. And I know why on one hand, their born day was a great day for their parents and for them in our country, is now become a day that we have to remember the lives that were lost. So on this day, I pray that we never forget those who gave up, some those who sacrificed their lives, some who gave their lives, and some whose lives were taken that they didn't know it was going to happen, that we continue to remember them. We cannot forget what happened. And we must remember that it was a tragedy, and it was a tragedy against our country. But we will remain strong, and we will remain strong in our faith, and we will remain faithful to God, knowing that all things will work together for the good. Love you. I bless you. And that is my prayer. Let's go to work and get it done.